We live in a world where we put so much trust into others when we don't actually have to at all. Our birth outcomes can be actually so much more positive when we actually trust ourselves, when we step into our power, when we step into knowledge. All of these aspects can have a very beautiful outcome if we take the step toward knowledge, if we take the action toward owning our health, owning our empowerment, owning our ability to give birth in a beautiful manner.
Welcome to the Cyclical Doula Podcast. I'm Emma, a certified Sympto-Pro instructor, a fertility awareness educator, and your guide to fertility coaching and reproductive health education from menarche to menopause and all the different types of motherhood in between. If you're seeking a natural, science-backed approach to managing your fertility, understanding your cycle, or simply connecting with your body in a new way, you're in the right place. Each episode is designed to empower you with the tools, knowledge, and confidence you need to thrive in your unique journey. Quick disclaimer, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice or individualized charting support. For specific guidance, please consult with your healthcare provider or fertility awareness instructor. Now, let's dive into today's topic.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads, from motherhood's highs to charting the low. Your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch heart.
Welcome back to the Cyclical Doula Podcast. Today, I'm here with Shauna Hall, who's a spiritual energetics herbalist, doula, a hypnotherapy practitioner, and the host of Align Your Glow and Soul podcast. She supports women through pregnancy and postpartum by helping them reconnect with intuition, inner strength, and energetic sovereignty. Her work blends spirituality, energetics, herbal wisdom, and birth support, all rooted in the belief that women already hold the answers. They simply just need the guidance to trust themselves. So I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Emma. I cannot wait to dive in. I love talking about all this stuff and just could never get enough of it.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about who you are outside of the work bio.
Yeah, so I am a mom of an 18-month-old boy, and before I got pregnant, I was doing, or I guess when I was pregnant, I was doing my doula training, and I was like, okay, I don't know. I know I'm meant to be in the birth world in some aspects, and I just couldn't figure out the what. And so prior to this, and I still do a little bit of this, I do some life coaching around career and feng shui and manifesting, which is kind of how I started that original coaching. And I love that still, and it's always going to be a passion, but I really have made a shift in the last year of this is it. Like, this is my path. This is what I'm passionate about. As I said, I never get bored of talking about birth and birth space and postpartum. And so when I was doing my doula training, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is so cool. Like, tell me all the things. I want to learn all the things. And when I was going down all the rabbit holes before I got pregnant of, women's health and pregnancy and sovereignty and informed consent, it just really blew my mind, the lack of education that especially Western women have around pregnancy, preconception, postpartum, informed consent, like everything. And it was just, it got me thinking, like, how sad that we live in a world where we put so much trust into others when we don't actually have to at all. And that our birth outcomes can be actually so much more positive when we actually trust ourselves, when we step into our power, when we step into knowledge. And so I really just became a mission to just educate women around preconception, birth, and postpartum, labor, all the things, so that when they got into this journey, and there's multiple stages of this journey. There is this preconception journey, there's pregnancy journey, there's postpartum. And you could put labor in there too if you want. All of these aspects can have a very beautiful outcome if we take the step toward knowledge, if we take the action toward owning our health, owning our empowerment, owning our ability to, give birth in a beautiful manner, to have a postpartum period that is really setting up for success to the rest of our postpartum journey. But we don't always do that, actually, a lot of the times. And, especially after I had my son, which, I had planned all these beautiful things and really wanted this to be this beautiful experience. And of course, I knew we can never plan what labor is going to look like.
For
And,
sure.
I had plan A, I had plan B, I had plan C. And even when I got to plan D, like 30 seconds I have an emergency section, I was
Yeah.
like, this freaking can I cuss on your podcast,
Yes,
actually?
you can. That's
Yeah,
fine.
great.
Yep.
This fucking sucks.
Yep.
And I had a doula and like she got kicked out of my room for a minute because they're like, "Oh, we gotta do an epidural because we're gonna go to the OR." And I was like, this is freaking shitty. Like
Yeah.
hospital based birth is shitty. Like there is no getting around that. And then I had a really rough postpartum. And so I was like, okay, me who has all this knowledge, who has all this education, who has all this training,
Right.
I'm having a rough time. I can't even imagine
Mhm.
what it's like for 95% of the population who does not have
Right.
the education and knowledge and experience that I have. So
Right.
with all that, I really know like this is my path. I want to do this. I want to really be in the space because there's just not a lot of there's not a lot of doulas, to be honest. Like when you look at the amount of births that are happening every single day, there's just not a lot of
Right.
doulas out there.
Yeah.
And many women don't even know what doulas are, which is,
Yeah.
just the lack one. You will never, well, no, never say never, but it's rare to see an OB go, oh, hey, do you have a doula? Have you thought about a doula?
Yeah. Yep.
And so I just think we need more women out there talking about this stuff, sharing experiences, and educating because that's just what it comes
Mhm.
down to. Knowledge is
Yeah.
power. And if we can educate, a fraction of women to understand that they have all this cool power inside them, their birth outcomes, one, are going to be better. And
Yeah.
two, they're going to be more empowering. They're going to say, like, oh my gosh, that was amazing versus having a traumatic birth experience, which is pretty common, and
Mhm.
moving in this energetic space of trauma. Like, that is
Yeah.
not how you want to be when you come out
Mhm.
into the postpartum world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for sharing all of that. I feel like that like really gave me a good idea of who you are in a good amount and how you got into this work. What is something that you, as a mom and a woman and just a human being, like what's one of your favorite rhythms or rituals that you do in this current season?
Ooh, that's a good ooh, I love that question. So, I love that you asked this because I think this is important just for women who are dealing with motherhood because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
might have a certain ritual post momhood that is your like tried and true, which was my situation. Like I
Yep.
meditated twice a day, every day. Yeah, I wasn't meditating for like hours on end, but it was my routine.
Yeah.
And I was
Yep.
very comfortable in that. And I have not been able to get back into that routine since. And that's okay.
Mhm.
I'm in a
Yep.
season of I don't have the capacity to do this. And I think as
Right.
women, as moms, we need to like breathe and like realize like it's okay. You might get back to it and you might not. And either way, it's all good.
Yeah.
So just giving women permission. You don't need to like stress about that. Let's like make life easy. But currently, whew, I love my mornings. I love to be able to just sit and although I am not, like I said, not really into the meditation at the moment, I just sit with my coffee and I just enjoy the peace of the morning because my son is asleep, my husband's asleep, my dog's asleep, and I can just do nothing, not worry about anybody or anyone, and just like scroll, which I know, we should be off of our phones a little bit less. But you know what? That is my current season of
Hey,
just
if that's the season you're in, that's okay. I love that. It's good. I've been so surprised that every time I ask this question, most people's responses, and it like obviously makes sense, but most people's responses are about their mornings, whatever. And like people have a whole wide range of stuff, but it usually comes down to people's rituals and rhythms that they love are in the morning, which is really intriguing to me.
I
It's
love that.
helpful to see that people like that starting off their day that way. Um, okay, so you talked a little bit about your own birth experience and how that kind of brought you into the work that you do. Um, but is there more to that that kind of helps us understand about why in your pregnancy and your birth, like this is something that you were like, this is absolutely a need.
Yeah, I can add on. So
Yeah.
I've always been, not always, but for many, long time, I've been very spiritual and I truly believe
Yeah.
energy is everything. And I applied that to my pregnancy. And in general, my pregnancy was pretty great. It was
Yeah.
smooth. I didn't have morning sickness. I really embraced like all the stages and thought it was just so cool. Like, what a freaking cool 40 weeks. Like, grow this
Yeah.
human and really, wasn't stressing about weight. I didn't even step on a scale. I actually refused to because I don't think that's healthy at all. I think we should be
Yeah.
very, like, not unconcerned about that. And I had midwives and they were great. And my mentality throughout my whole pregnancy was I really just want to be in a state of peace and flow.
Mm,
And I was most of the time, other than like, I think the last like month for everybody is just, it's a little rough. It's,
yeah,
you're huge.
absolutely.
I had really
Yep.
bad sciatica. But it was important for me to be in the state, one, because we can control very few things in life, but we can control our energy. And when we
Mhm.
can control our energy, we can decrease our stress levels. And when you're growing a baby, it is insanely important that you are in a flow of peace, that you are in a flow of ease, because what's going on emotionally for you will impact your
Yeah.
growing child. And therefore, then has all these effects. It affects your health. It affects your mood. It affects
Mhm.
your fetus's development. It affects your view of pregnancy. It can affect your birth. And so that's kind of where it sparked it for me. It was
Yeah.
there were so many women that I knew that they're like, oh, I hate this, or this is horrible. And it's like, can we, now gathered. I have a coworker slash friend who is pregnant, and she's a beautiful human, and she's generally very positive, and we love her for that exact reason. But she just
Yeah.
doesn't like being pregnant, and she's like,
Yeah.
I hate this. I don't want to be pregnant, and that's okay too. I want to validate that. But we can, I think, when we go into pregnancy differently, and
Yeah.
releasing control first of all, and releasing
Mhm.
expectations around how this will feel and look, and really just focusing on that, like I said, that peace, that flow, that
Yeah.
ease, whew, it can be such a better experience.
Yeah. That's amazing. So when people are working with you, do you typically bring in that like energetic work on the regular?
Absolutely. That's one of the first things I start with is I'll just gonna ask
Yeah.
like just some questions and like, how are you feeling? What's your mindset around this? And what are your initial thoughts? We'll do a little exercise where I'll just have them kind of brain dump in a journal, just whatever. And
Yeah.
then, everybody's different and everybody's
Yeah.
pregnancy is different. And I don't care if you've been pregnant 10 times. I promise you every pregnancy is different. So it's just about looking at that particular woman and her experience and her preconceived notions as well, because that can impact a
Yeah.
whole lot in addition.
Mhm.
And then creating some routines around what we can do to control the energy. And,
Mhm.
you talked about rituals and routines. Those are really important, especially when you're pregnant, because, who knows what the day will look like, and how
For
you're going to
sure.
feel. And so when we can put some pieces in play, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's affirmations, whether it's, hypnotherapy, all those things are going to contribute to
Right.
a more flow state and ultimately get you into an energetic space where, regardless of what happens, maybe you have morning sickness all day long. You,
Mhm.
from a mental space, are just going to be in a better arena, a better aura. So you're not having all the stress build up over time during your journey of pregnancy.
Yeah. That's great. And so are you mostly working with people who like are in that birth space? Are you mostly doing like birth doula work?
No, actually,
Oh,
I'm doing
okay.
mostly postpartum.
Okay.
Um, just because of my current season, I also work full
For
time.
sure. Absolutely.
Um, and I've really, really, really am passionate about postpartum because that's another area that women just don't even think about. They don't plan. It's not a
Right.
thought process. They're preparing for the nursery and all the things that need to go in there, which I
Yeah.
mean, really, to be honest, should be your last focus. Um, and they're
It's
not
kind of
thinking about
unnecessary. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I didn't even like have a nursery, first of all. I slept on the couch for like my first like 3, 4 weeks.
Yep.
Um, but postpartum's forever.
Yeah.
And it's pretty critical that the first, I would say, 4 months of postpartum, you're set up in multiple ways. One,
Mhm.
from a nutrition perspective, you are eating nourishing meals. Now, I'm not a dietitian, but I work with many, many amazing dietitians. And so I'm going to just give you my spiel. And then I always refer people to a dietitian if they want more support.
Yeah.
You're coming out of pregnancy, you have just given birth. It doesn't matter if it's vaginally or C-section. You have gone through a marathon. Your body has gone through an insane amount of work. and it doesn't really matter if you've had a long labor or short labor. Your hormones are experiencing massive changes in the first 72 hours. I mean, it's insane.
Mhm.
Whether you're breastfeeding or not, that's another layer. And so
Mhm.
many women come out and they go, "Oh, I haven't ate, I haven't showered." And oh my goodness, no, mamas, like, we gotta take care of you.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
fill your cup up first. And so I meal prepped, I think about a month worth of meals.
Okay.
I wish I would have done more, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that one piece of postpartum focus was, oh, it was amazing because I didn't have to worry about cooking. I didn't have to worry about planning. My husband doesn't cook, so that's why I was like, all right, I gotta
Yeah.
do and it just made things very, very simple. And one of my good
Yeah.
friends, like, bless her heart, she came over, I don't know, within the first week. She didn't even tell me she was coming over. She didn't knock. She just dropped off these nutritious snacks on my door. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Monica, like, you are an angel. Thank you.
Yes.
And those are the things that we need. We need a village. We need people to be
Yes.
focused on mom, not on baby.
Mhm.
We need women to, like, I had a my birth doula was also my postpartum doula. And so
Yeah.
she came over and she was like, what do you need? I'm like, I need you to just hold the baby. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to go do me and I'm going to disappear for a couple hours and you just take care of him. And she's like,
Yeah.
cool, whatever you want. And
Yeah.
that break from having to deal with this newborn child, who my child was great. Like, he wasn't colicky, he slept well, he napped well, he ate well, all the
Yeah.
things. But like, it's still exhausting. It's still a lot of
Yeah.
work. And so when we can reframe a little bit and go, okay, what's going to set me up for success in these first 4 months from, everything from, like I said, nutrition, from meal support or a meal train, from your village, from what does your cleaning look like? Who's going to be doing that? From, like, overnight, is it bottles? Is it breastfeeding? Is it pumping? Like, what do all these things look like? Because
Mhm.
if you invest in that time now, and you have the support systems in place, you have the communication with your partner, you have the things, the rest of your postpartum journey is going to feel and look vastly different. We're going to decrease our likelihood of a postpartum mood disorder. We're going to decrease our internal, like, healing because a lot of women
Yeah.
are moving too fast too soon.
Mhm.
Um, and then when we go later down the road, year 1 or 2, we're gonna be able to recover faster. We're gonna, like, get back to our normal activities. We're gonna feel better in our bodies, in our mind, and in our spirit versus the struggle of, okay, I haven't ate well for 3 months. I haven't slept well for 3 months, which I still haven't slept well, let's be real. But
It comes with time
um,
eventually before they move out.
right. I just met a mom yesterday. She's like, she has 4 kids, and she's like, "I haven't really slept in like 8 years." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." But when we can focus on those first 4 months, we're setting the foundation for the next few years,
Yeah.
especially if we wanna have another child and we wanna have it rather
Mm.
soon.
Yeah. That's great. I I think that everybody should have a postpartum doula. Like, I didn't have one with either, but I also didn't really know that they fully existed then. And I feel like now that I do, like, if we were to ever have another child, I'd be absolutely like everybody, nobody, we don't need any gifts, just money for doulas to be here. I do have a lot of family support, and my husband was able to take off a lot of time, and my parents were there and all of that. But it's amazing what somebody, like you said, just somebody dropping food by is like makes such a big difference. And I feel like as we as mothers, knowing that experience when there's a new mom in our like friend circle and in our village, like we if we have the capacity to do that, man, does it make such a difference.
Yes, and that's the other piece of, motherhood is lonely. It really
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and so you gotta build the village before, and I know
Yeah.
it takes some effort and it takes
Mhm.
some, uncomfortableness. Let's be real, it is uncomfortable to meet new friends.
It is. It's like
But
dating when you're and it's like, "This is weird."
it's too right, it really is, but I was on Peanut, which is if
Mhm.
somebody's like, "What is that?" It's just a mom app, I loved it, I still am on there sometimes, but it was just nice, like, meet like-minded women that are in my area that share
Yeah.
like-minded values, and I have met several women and we've had, play dates and, although not all of them have been, like, these amazing friendships, that's not the point. The point is to connect and have community,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's where I met my friend Monica, and, like, we've been friends now for 2 years, and so it's just like,
Yeah.
build the village, go and find the group.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more about what your work looks like. So we talked about your postpartum doula work. What does it look like with the other things that you do? And do you bring those into every aspect of what you're doing? So you're doing hypnotherapy and stuff and all of that.
Yeah, so we'll come back up and we'll start maybe,
Yeah.
you're 2 months pregnant and you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And really you don't really need a doula that early on, but if you want,
Yeah.
like,
It
absolutely
can be
happy to support.
helpful. Yeah.
Um, so some of the work they integrate from a hypnotherapy perspective is I'll create custom hypnotherapy meditation tracks for whomever I'm working with, and I'll integrate everything from like, okay, what kind of sounds do you like? What are your
Mm,
favorite like nature scenes? What brings you joy? What helps you relax? If you've heard of hypnobirthing, I took hypnobirthing
yeah.
when I was pregnant. And it is so I'm not certified in hypnobirthing, but hypnobirthing is so similar to clinical hypnotherapy that I can
Yeah.
just
Okay.
apply the techniques.
Yeah.
So I'll put together meditation tracks that are going to help you relax, help you dive into a place of knowledge and empowerment. Because really, it's all about like how can you get into a place, a grounded state of feeling empowered about pregnancy, about birth, so that way, because it you have to think. So if you have never given birth, you're a first time mom, and you go into a pregnancy and you have this instilled fear of the unknown, of birth,
Mhm.
of pushing, of all these things that you might have seen on the news or movies or whatever. And you have these
Yeah.
preconceived notions of, oh my God, this is going to be terrifying. I don't know what to do. All right, we got to fix that because that energy is going to stay with you. And I promise you, it'll impact your birth experience. And so, if that's the situation for whomever I'm working with, I will put together a hypnotherapy that I will ask that they listen to every day because what we're trying to do is we're trying to rewire your subconscious beliefs. And that does
Right.
not just happen by me talking to you. It takes some work.
Right.
That's why hypnotherapy really is only useful if you're listening to it consistently. And I had found a
Okay.
track when I was pregnant. It was great. I forget the person who it was through, but it was all about grounding into empowerment, picturing like, breath work and stepping into a
Mm,
state of being of energetic of like, you've got this. And so that's kind of my goal. And what I'll do is I'll integrate
yeah.
some of that hypnobirthing. So hypnobirthing talks about, associating a color with what you want your birth to kind of look like and what you imagine. And so I
Fun.
always ask clients like, what color? What do you think about when you think about your girl or your boy? Like what color do you imagine? And so we'll start with that. And then I'll talk about just like picturing that birth experience as this peaceful, flower that's developing because that's one of the aspects of hypnobirthing as well. And then really changing the language. So, you hear the word contraction, which, we know what a contraction is, right? It's your
Right.
body working to like move your baby down.
Right.
But when we think of contraction, we often think of pain and we think of like
Mm,
struggle. We think of, oh, like, so flipping the language a little bit. In hypnobirthing, they refer to it as waves, which I
okay.
love.
Yeah,
And
that's a
so,
good way to put it.
yeah, switching the language is important. Everything, there's energy attached to everything. So it's about
Right.
getting to a place of, okay, we're going to talk about your waves when you get to this point, breathing through your waves. Because
Mhm.
when you think of, okay, you look at the two words contraction and wave, they have very different energetics. And so I think wave just
For
sounds
sure.
different, feels different. It sounds like a nice,
Yep.
like relaxing day at the beach.
Yep.
And so I'll put together custom hypnotherapy tracks. We'll talk about, what do you want this experience to look like? What do you want this 40 weeks to look like? How do you want to feel? What do you want to embody? How do you want to feel going into birth, preparing for birth, and doing some birth education as well? Because,
Mhm.
oh, so important. um,
Yeah, for sure.
it's shocking to me that women don't take birth education or lactation classes. I
Yeah.
just like, whew, I like get a little like, oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
you would never go into, so I'm a runner. You would never go into a race, even if you ever ran in your life. If you're like, one day you're like, I want to run. I want to go run a 5K or I want to run a
Yeah.
marathon. You would never go into a race and not train for it. So why would you go into birth that you've never done before
Yeah.
and not have some knowledge, not have some
Right.
education, not have some training? And so, yeah, I really just want women to feel like they have the knowledge so that whatever they're presented with, whatever happens, and again, we can't plan birth. It's never going to come the way we want it to.
Yep.
They feel like they have the knowledge, that they can trust their intuition, which is my biggest talking point. Like, trust your body, listen to your body. You know better than anybody else. I
Yeah.
guarantee you. And then that just informed consent piece, because there's a lot of fear mongering that happens with providers. And I experienced it myself.
Right.
And it was ridiculous. Like, what these individuals said to me that had no evidence attached to it at all. And
Yeah.
how do you know that? Like,
Yeah.
and so, it's unfortunate that our Western model society relies on insurance and relies on
Right.
these providers that are just kind of forced to fit into this medical model. And if that is the route that you're going because you have insurance and blah, 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 I just want to give you the power that you need to be feeling successful.
Yeah.
And so we're going through birth, we're doing all these things. And then, we're going to start planning about, okay, what do you want your birth experience to look like? Do you want it
Mhm.
to, whether you're birthing at home, whether you're birthing at a birth center, whether you're having a hospital based birth, what do you want that space, that environment to feel like?
Yeah.
And really getting down to the details. So, do you want it the lights low? Do you want music? Do you want candles or fake candles, depending on what the space will allow you to have?
Yeah.
Want snacks? Like, you can eat labor. Like, what do you want?
Right. Right.
Do you want a birth ball, peanut ball? Do you want, I forget that thing called that you wrap around your belly, and you like shake it out a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called.
Yeah. Like, all these tools, like, do you want these things? Have you practiced different positions? What do you want your space to be? And giving women the power too, because I've heard crazy stories of like, well, my mother-in-law that I don't actually get along with wants to be in my birth. And I'm like, what? Like,
You can say no.
right. Like, no is
Yeah.
a complete answer.
Yep.
Just getting in women into a state of empowerment, really, it's like my
Yeah.
huge focus. And then, like, birth and that transition from maiden to mother, ooh, it is a transformation. And I
Mhm.
think that piece is also a lot of women don't think about that. It's gonna shake you up a little bit, I promise you. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going from me, mine, you know, you're a solo person, even if you're married to have a partner, to you no longer have autonomy. You are
Yeah.
your your little human is relying on you to keep them alive, and
Yeah.
that kind of sucks sometimes. It like
Mhm.
definitely, like, I don't want to sugarcoat it, because even if you have the most beautiful
Yeah.
pregnancy and birth, it's a tough. Like, it takes some time to get
Yeah.
used to. And
Absolutely.
so just thinking about all these things, there's a lot to think about in this entire journey. But when you have the support system, when you have the doula, when you have the midwife, when you have the partners that can help you, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like, it's gonna be so cool. You're gonna
Yeah.
like go through this like a badass, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like, although maybe this didn't go according to plan, I knew what my choices were. I knew what my plans were. I felt empowered in my
Mhm.
decision making. I didn't feel like I was being pressured. And ultimately, you come through and you're like, oh, like, I did it. I did this. Like,
Mhm.
and so that's my goal. I want every woman to go through pregnancy, birth, postpartum, all the things, feeling good, feeling like a queen, feeling like a warrior, because that's what we are.
Yeah.
Like, we do this. This is amazing. Like, when you really think about it, like, first of all, getting pregnant in the first place, like, is amazing.
Yeah. To make all those things line up, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we've been given this gift of motherhood. We've been given this gift of pregnancy, which already is a miracle on its own. And then to carry a baby to full term, like, whew, like, your body just did all these phenomenal things. It put together lungs and eyeballs and ears and feet and toes.
Yes.
And like, we just need to really drop into that beautiful experience
Yeah.
and really enjoy it, because it's going to go by fast as well. I
Yeah.
know it may not feel like it at sometimes, but you'll
Mhm.
look back and go, man, like, I can't even remember being pregnant, or like,
Yeah.
wow, like, my baby's already 2 years old. And so it's being present, it's being grateful for the experience,
Yeah.
and then just dropping into that empowerment state of being.
It's amazing. I love that. And I like how like this it's like that whole span of thinking about it, that it's not just this like one time just at birth or just in pregnancy or whatever, that it's really like looking at it in the whole aspect of it. Cause I really like, obviously, like this is a huge transformative experience when people give birth and um, becoming a mother and all of that and having support through that whole thing is just amazing.
Yes, agree 100%.
Yeah. So do you have if somebody has come is listening to this and has never, like, really dove into, like, finding their own inner intuition or things like that, how do they even start?
I love this question because I ask this too because
Yeah.
it's so it takes time, first of all, and it
Yeah.
takes practice. And
Right.
so I think the thing you can start doing, and it needs to be a practice, it's not just a one and done,
Right.
is getting quiet. Getting quiet, whether it's in your shower, whether it's sitting on your couch in the morning, whether it's meditating in your bed, whether it's on your drive to work, get
Yeah.
quiet and just sit still and just see what
Mhm.
happens. Where does your mind go? What
Yep.
do your thoughts do? How does your body feel? Like, what are you physically feeling? Like, do an analysis. Like, how do your toes, feet, ankles, knees, thighs, stomach, head? Like, go do a little like down and up and
Mhm.
see like where is the energy going? Where is the pressure? Where is the release? And then ask yourself questions, easy questions like yes or no answers. Like, what is your favorite color? Blue or red?
Yeah.
And then what is your body saying? What are you feeling? And that's,
Yeah.
I think, such an easy practice because you already know what your favorite color is. You already know what your favorite food is.
Right.
You already know these answers. So you're gonna ask yourself, okay, is my favorite color blue or red? And let's just say your favorite color is blue. So your mind goes blue. Okay, pause. And where is the blue coming from? Is it coming from your stomach? Is it coming from your chest? Is it coming from your head? And then that's what you want to tune into when you're asking
Mhm.
questions that you don't know the answer to. And
Ooh,
that's where you're going to
fun.
get your intuition because everybody's
Okay.
intuition comes from a different spot. I lean into human design as well.
Okay.
So, depending on your profile and your authority, it will depend on where you're getting these feelings. So I'm a
Okay.
sacral authority. So I'd have to pause and kind of just lean into that like gut space of like,
Yeah.
what is my body telling me? And I'm a generator. And so when I'm asking a question, it's either a hell yes or it's a hell no. And
Yeah.
so those are some of the tools I use too. But anybody can do this practice. Anybody can do this exercise into building your intuition muscle because we are taught from a very, like, societal level to not trust ourselves, especially women, and
Mm.
especially women's health. Ugh, we can go a
Yeah.
whole another podcast on this. Um, we've been taught for years to rely on doctors and rely on other people to validate
Right.
what we need and what we're feeling.
Mhm.
And so it's gonna take time.
Mhm.
It's gonna take some practice, and it's okay if maybe you don't get it right the first time or you're
Yeah.
not trusting yourself fully to make decisions. You'll get there, I
Yeah.
promise, if you continue with the practice.
That's awesome. I love that. Is there like one thing that you want every woman to know that they carry through this experience of becoming a mother?
Ooh, no matter what, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. I promise. You've got this.
That's awesome. I absolutely 100% agree. Well, I'm just gonna open it up. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share?
Ooh, great question. If you okay, so if you're listening, you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds great. I can't afford a doula, or I just don't have the resources to get a midwife or home birth or
Yeah.
birth center, but you want to have the power, you want to have the knowledge. Just
Hmm.
go hop on some podcasts. Like get
Yeah.
educated that way. One of my favorite podcasts is Birthing Instincts, and that's where I started my journey. They have, I don't know, they've been podcasting for like 7 years. So they have, hundreds and hundreds of
Hundreds of them. I
episodes.
love it.
But that is a really great tool to just start your rabbit holes of
Yeah.
getting some questions answered, getting some unconventional information that you're not going to get from your OBGYN. And so you don't need, like, yes, doulas are amazing. And I wish every woman during their pregnancy could have one,
Yeah.
but that may not be the situation. And so
Yeah.
if you don't have these resources available, take it upon yourself to go listen to a podcast for, on your way to work or in the morning,
Hmm.
or when you're driving, or if you have the opportunity at work to, like, just like put a
Yeah.
earbud in your ear because you still can. you still can feel empowered through knowledge, even if you don't
Sure.
have those support systems.
Absolutely. That's great. I think that's so important. And I feel like I was talking to another doula that I know earlier today, and I think it's a helpful reminder too that like sometimes you can also just ask doulas if like they do a sliding scale or like if they know of somebody who's in training who like has the knowledge base but hasn't done so many births yet or like whatever that might be able to do it in different capacities too. But yeah, that's great. I think just educating ourselves. You were talking about the fact that like we have relied so much on like doctors in the past to give us our knowledge. And we have this ability now with the way that the internet is and all of these things to really get information for ourselves and be able to take that information and digest it and figure out what works best for ourselves. And it really can come from an inner spot of being able to understand better. And I think that's really powerful in the time that we're in.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned asking, never be afraid to ask. Like if
Yeah.
you have somebody telling you something and you're like, wait, this doesn't feel quite right, or I'm not
Yeah.
understanding, ask questions. Ask your provider to explain. Don't let them rush out of the room without you feeling confident in what they just told you. Because again, the design of our medical model system is insurance companies, don't pay unless there's certain
Right.
parameters. And so appointments are, 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
But that's not enough time to give you all the information. So do
To
not
do
be
anything. Yeah.
right. Do not be afraid to be like, wait, I don't understand. What did you just say? Can you
Yeah.
explain that to
Yeah.
me again? I would also suggest anytime you're going to a provider visit, bring somebody with you because they're going to be able to hear things that maybe you didn't hear or
Mhm.
understand things that maybe you missed. And it's just going to help you because they're going to be one of your support system
Yeah.
and they're going to be aligned with your decisions. And so you can do that or, take notes. But don't be afraid to ask. Ask a doula if she'll give you a discount. Ask for a writer to explain something. Ask for clarification. This is your experience and you're going to get in what you put out. So
Mhm.
make sure you're just, even if it sounds silly, like who cares? Like it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People obviously like in the work that I do, I'm working with people's menstrual cycles. Like they always start some questions with, I feel like this is TMI. And I'm like, it really isn't though. Like it really is not something that would like shock me with your questions of how you're going to ask this. And I feel like that's the same thing. Like most people who's in this birth workspace, like most questions are going to be something that we've thought of before or like in the realm of thinking through.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like, I am learning all the time, and if
Yeah.
I am working with somebody and they say something, I'm like, wait, what did you like? Where did you hear that, or what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's all good. Nobody is
Yeah.
judging, especially. Well, I mean, if you're working with somebody and they're judging you, you need to work with somebody else.
Yeah, find somebody else, which is also good to know, like, you can change support systems and providers and all of that at any point.
Absolutely, you can fire your OBGYN, like you
Yeah,
absolutely can. And if you're not feeling aligned, I think that's important too. I didn't really talk about it, but feeling aligned with whoever you're working with
yeah.
is pretty critical. If you don't have similar beliefs or values, or if you go into the appointment and you're like, "Ugh," like your body just tightens up and you just have
Mhm.
this feeling of, I don't know, then you don't know. And it's a no.
Yeah,
And it's okay.
yeah,
And, if they go and fear mongle you and go, well, nobody else is going to support you if you're 32 weeks along, like you'll find somebody, promise.
yeah,
You'll find
absolutely.
somebody.
Mhm. Absolutely, I love that, that's amazing. Well, thanks so much. Where can people tune in to your podcast and to work with you and all of those things?
Yes, I have the Align Your Glow and Soul podcast on all the platforms. And so I talk about birth, obviously, but I also talk about, feng shui and herbs and how to use herbs and
Nice.
what herbs do for you. And then I have guests on all the time. And then I'm on Instagram mostly. I don't know, flirting with TikTok. I have not fully committed, but
Yep. Same.
and the name is the same, Mystic Herbal Doula.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Cyclical Doula podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much if you shared it with a friend or posted it on Instagram and tagged me at Cyclical Doula. If you've got a question you'd love to hear answered on the show, head over to mma.com/podcast to submit it. And don't forget, leaving a quick review really helps this podcast reach more people. Plus, if you upload a screenshot of your review on my website, I'll send you a special surprise as a thank you. You'll find all the details in the show notes about this show today, and I really appreciate you being here and listening in. I'll see you next time.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads. From motherhood's highs to charting the low, your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found.
Just a disclaimer and a reminder that any guests on the show are views of their own and not necessarily views of Emma LLC or Emma Goff herself. Thanks so much.